We're breaking details from Wall Street to Main Street, from my home to your home, as congressional leaders push today to do the first step to get finalization of Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion stimulus package to finality. I have the great news across the board on that this morning. Meantime, the Republicans' plan never going to see light of day, the White House confirms. Elsewhere, shares of GameStop, AMC, and others taking a massive fall in a short squeeze, further tanking this morning. I told you on early mornings LA that GameStop was down in overnight trading. It's falling even further. All the stocks that were backed by a online message board called Reddit and a subsection called Wallstreetbets taking a massive hit this morning as they continue to fall, as Robinhood, the online platform that allows you to trade stocks in discount amounts, is opening more trading. And as that opening trading is allowed, the stocks are taking a big hit. Thank you, Scott, for the big super chat, the dancing bear, to start the new morning. Wall Street is rallying. The Dow is up 600 points at the start today, 2% shortly before 9 o'clock. On the West Coast, the NASDAQ is up 214 points. Thank you for another dancing pair. I really appreciate that. NASDAQ is up 214 points, both up to about 2% currently. Great news coming out of Pfizer this morning as Pfizer confirms that it will be able to deliver 200 million more doses of its vaccine by May to the United States. This is 2 months earlier than originally predicted. They originally said they could get them to the White House and to U.S. distribution by July. They will be there in May. This is great news. We also now have more data about the number of doses that have been distributed by Pfizer via the White House. I have that details as well. Meantime, ride-sharing company Uber, before the market opened, announced a major deal. Bought a delivery service Drizzly for $1.1 billion. Let's drink to that. Elsewhere, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer confirm that they have started the first step to get Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion bill to finality. And in really additional great news, Joe Biden now confirms he's concerned that 1.9 trillion was not big enough. Is that suggestions that he's coming back with another stimulus package after that, as he had originally promised? Oh, this is looking really good. It's a Tuesday morning, and Tracy just gave a big dancing bear. Thank you. There's 500 people in the room and 115 likes. Let's see if we can get to 2,000 and 1,000. Thank you for joining me just after 9 a.m. on the West Coast. It's live here in Los Angeles with breaking details from Wall Street to Main Street, my home to your home, and I'm really excited for you. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here, and I'm still not seeing any bacon. But you do have a bacon emoji. Thank you, Lisa, for the super chat. I'm really excited for your for that super chat. Really appreciate it. If you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. The member link is in the top of the description. It's also in the pinned comment, and it's also in the description. Become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP, the fastest growing community there is online, the biggest financial news network, interactive like no one else, answering your questions 24/7, programming around the clock. Also consider subscribing. It's free to subscribe. And some of your 2,000 incredible comments from yesterday will be featured in this recording in just a minute or two. And Brother Joshua brought me some bacon. I really appreciate that, Brother Joshua. We had two members of the clergy join as members last night on Evenings LA. So that was very exciting. I think one of them was in Hazard Pay. So very exciting to see more in the mix. And with that, let's get to the breaking news. So much happening across the board. Let's start, of course, with stimulus, as Sirloin would say, our favorite lobbyist for the cows. Sirloin would say stimulus and move it on out. Well, that's what congressional leaders are doing. They're moving it on out. They're moving forward. Let's recap. We currently have a $1.9 trillion proposal, but no bill, from Joe Biden, your president. Then we have a counter proposal, no bill, just a letter from Mitt Romney, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Ron Portman, the guy who said he doesn't want to do counter proposals, he wants to be bipartisan, and then he goes and does one right before he's about to retire. And then we have the progressives who wrote a letter on Friday asking for a stimulus check every month until the pandemic's over. So you have the Republicans saying go smaller, you have the progressives saying go higher, you have the purple power saying go higher, and you have Joe Biden's bill, which is 1.9. Well, well, the great news coming out of the White House is that Joe Biden is now cautious, I don't want to say fearful, but cautious that perhaps his bill was not big enough. I love this. He now signals maybe I got to come back and do another one. This was the original promise. He originally said in the campaign and in the transition that I will do a stimulus package as often as so needed, and I will continue to do them as I will so need them. This is incredible, great news. In a press conference overnight, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said, "This is not a forum for the president to make or accept a counteroffer." That's translation. I don't want to see the GOP's counteroffer. Never gonna see that in a day. Thank you for the letter, and I will see you at lunchtime. But no, there will be no acceptance of that counteroffer. And then Psaki said she signaled that Biden believes that the pared back proposal is too small, the Republicans, but that Joe Biden's plan may be too small. She said there's a risk when it comes to stimulus spending, not that Biden's $1.9 trillion plan is too big, but that the risk that Biden's plan may be too small. That remains his view. Well, this is incredible great news. You and I have already said his bill is too small. We were expecting $4 to $5 trillion. We were expecting something on the lines of the HEROES Act. The HEROES Act would have really brought viewers into the mix in a comfort zone that they were looking for. The HEROES Act of 2020, which was never passed, written by the Democrats, called for hazard pay, $10,000, called for EIDL grants, called for the Lifeline grant, $50,000, called for $600 a week of FPUC, called for stimulus checks, called for a lot of deliciousness, as I call it, delicious stimulus. But Joe Biden came in at 1.9 trillion. Now, I reassessed that number at 1.9 versus 4 trillion because his bill didn't have a lot of pork. It's very lean and mean, but in the same regards, it omits a lot of stuff. It omits the multiple stimulus checks as he so represented. It omits the $2,000 stimulus check. It omits the FPUC retro. It omits the SSI and SSDI, $200 a month. Happy birthday, Donna. I think I missed that because I was looking down. It omits a lot of particular things. And so ultimately, if it omits it, it may not be robust enough. But besides omitting things, there are other external economic factors that may suggest that Joe Biden does have to come back with another stimulus package. Why? One, the economy is getting worse, not better. Two, the concerns of an implosion of Wall Street and the stock market. Three, there's concerns of the new variant of the virus. And I have more data about that in just a second. So this is very good news. Let's go to more good news about Nancy and Chuck. But before I get to Nancy and Chuck's good news, let me give you some other breaking news across the board. With 8 minutes on the clock, as you know, the Dow is now up 600 points. Really strong morning at 2%. And the NASDAQ is up 214 points, up 2%. Pfizer announces that he'll deliver 200 million doses of its vaccine by May, 2 months earlier than originally promised. This is great news as we need to increase doses across the country. Joe Biden promised his entire stimulus package based upon a calculation. What was that calculation? 100 million vaccinations newly in 100 days. Well, the problem is he doesn't have 100 million doses and 25 million are missing. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you for the nice comments. I really appreciate that. So Pfizer now expects to have 200 million doses available in May. But in the new report, this is a briefing by by Pfizer execs this morning, obtained by LLA. Pfizer now reveals how many doses it's given. So this is also very helpful information for purposes of stimulus. Pfizer has delivered 29 million doses of its two-shot vaccine already as of January 31st. Okay, so Pfizer is 29 million. Let's keep that number in the back of our head. But, excuse me, delivered, not vaccinated. Delivered, meaning they delivered them in the mail. Hey, Barbara, thank you for the dancing pear. I really appreciate it. So Pfizer has delivered 29 million doses to Americans in by January 31st. Thank you, Thomas, for the super chat. But as of Monday, only 17% of those, 17 million, have actually been used. So let's go over that again. 29 million doses delivered by Pfizer, 17 million have been used. And then they were asked about the variant. What's the variant? The variant is the South African variant. Why is it called South African variant? Because it originated in South Africa. Well, how is it here? We don't know. Who has it here? A person in Baltimore has been confirmed infected with the South African variant. Did they travel to South Africa? No. Did they travel at all? No. So how did they get it? We don't know. Means that there's a super spreader somewhere in the United States. And that super spreader affected that person and also someone potentially along the food chain in North Carolina. There's 3 cases of South African variant in the United States, but Joe Biden's chief coronavirus task force member, Osserloff, Dr. Osserloff, who is #1 in the transition, but not in his administration, says that in 6 to 14 weeks, you're going to see widespread infection of the South African variant in the United States, and that he sees massive death tolls coming if we don't vaccinate people soon enough before the South African variant hits. So what does the current vaccines do for the South African variant? Pfizer said this morning that patients will likely need to boost regularly to maintain immune response and to counter emerging variant strains. This is the first time we've heard this language. So Pfizer says you have to vaccinate with boosts regularly. This is very interesting. Moderna says that for Moderna recipients, you're fine for 6 months after vaccination of the second dose before you need to absolutely have the booster for the South African variant, which they are now working on. Yes, they have still not found those missing 25 million vaccine doses. Detail on this channel on Saturday from Politico. Thank you, Desert Or, for the dancing bear. I really appreciate it. So those 25 million are missing. Meantime, Uber, the rideshare company, has bought a new business. Alcohol delivery company Drizzly. Drizzly delivers alcohol to your office or your home. I can insert a joke here. I think you should insert the joke because it's a very funny room, and you always have very good jokes, except when you repeat them every time on the screen every 10 seconds. Then it's not funny. But now certain congressional leaders can have their alcohol delivered to their home, even easier than before. You'll decide who those are. Hey, Barbara, thank you for the dancing pear. I really appreciate it. Uber bought Drizzly for $1.1 billion. They intend to ramp up production, which I guess certain people in Congress will be very happy about that. Meantime, shares of the controversial stocks backed by an online message board continue to tank. On Thursday and Friday last week, an online message board by the name of Reddit and a subsection of that message board called Wallstreetbets was trying to push a series of stocks up. They pushed the series of stocks up in what they call a squeeze, but now they're being bit by the squeeze on the downfall. Why? Hey, thank you, Scott, for the for the 11. I appreciate it. Why? Because initially people were buying and selling stocks on a app called Robinhood, an app where you can buy stocks on your phone. That app had initially restricted trading of the shares because it was too much volatility. They opened it up progressively yesterday. They're opening up the transactions now more today, Robinhood, and with that, the floor fell. Robinhood now allows 100 shares of GameStop cost BlackBerry Genius Brands 100 shares of GameStop stock to be sold and bought. Cost BlackBerry and Genius Brands are no longer restricted, but that's not helping because now AMC, which had rallied through 300% last week on a squeeze, is now down 50% today. BlackBerry down 10%, Express down 31%, Cost down 41%, Nokia down 5%, iShares of Silver Trust down 6%. It looks like the squeeze is taking the squeeze on Wall Street bets. There you go. And let's turn back to Nancy and Chuck. I wonder if, yeah, you insert your own joke there. Nancy and Chuck gave us great news overnight. So now we know, and the great news, Nancy and Chuck explained how they are setting it up for a vote. So what is Nancy and Chuck doing? Let me give you the overview before I give you the specifics. But first, we're at the 15-minute mark. So let me give you a big update. And thank you to welcome all the new people in the room. With 1,600 people in the room and 560 likes. Oh, Lord, get those likes up. Those need to be about 1,000 likes. Remember, it's free to like and it's free to subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. The best darn channel out there, 24 hours a day, news coverage. Wall Street to Main Street, my home to your home, covering everything you need from stimulus to becoming financially stable during this pandemic. I'm so excited you joined me, and if you've not subscribed, please subscribe. 24 hours of programming today. We started with EIDL at 1 a.m. We went to FPC at 2 a.m. and then early mornings LA at 3 and 3:30. Thank you for watching those shows. Those were very well watched this morning. I'm next back alive with you at 12 noon with Home LLA. Meantime, if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. The link to become a member is at the top of the chat and also in the description to this video. 644 likes. Let's get those likes up. But there's 1,600 in the room. Let's see if we get it to 2,000 in the room. Come on in. Come on in. Let's get the. Come on in and tell your neighbors, hey, tune on in. LLA's on TV is on TV now. Tell them to come. Tell the cat and the dog. I think they count. Get their paws to press the like button. Just make sure they have different accounts, that we get one paw for each account. Let me turn to what Nancy and Chuck are doing. Wow, so Nancy and Chuck are working in your behalf in a positive manner. Refreshing, isn't it? So what are they doing? They're doing both the stimulus bill and the continuing and the plan B. The plan B. So why are they doing both? Now we know. We weren't particularly clear what this plan B had to do with plan A, but now we know what they're doing. And this is the first time you're going to hear me explain on camera, and the first time I heard it either. Hey, Donna, thank you for the dancing pair. I really appreciate it. So let me explain what plan A and plan B together means, because it's a little peculiar. This is what it means. What they're doing is they are calling for a vote this week, Plan B. Hey, Chris, thank you for the dancing pair. They're calling for a vote, Plan B, this week. The reason why they're calling for a vote, Plan B, first is because if they pass Plan B, then they don't need Ron Portman to get your stimulus package approved. What's going on here? It's basically a very, very complex, boring, as I said a few weeks ago, boring. Oh, yawn. Hey, Alicia, thank you for the dancing pair. It's a very boring procedural maneuver for congressional leaders, but they basically have to pass Plan B so that if they get no Republican support for Joe Biden's bill, they can just push it out the window and get it done with just Democrats. Let me say that again. Plan B is a procedural requirement that if they pass Plan B first, then they can come right back, no delay, and do Plan A without a single Republican vote of support, meaning that Joe Biden's bill will be passed. So now you know why there needs to be Plan B and why there needs to be Plan A. Now it's not clear to me, and I'm sure it was not clear to you, and I know exactly what the comment I'm getting is. So does that mean we're not getting a stimulus check today? I thought we were getting our stimulus check on Tuesday. No, you're not getting a stimulus check on Tuesday. Hey, Donna, thank you for Dancing Pear. So, Donut Guy, I am sorry. You are not getting your stimulus check in your bank account today, which it was never going to happen anyway. Hey, Donna, thank you for the Dancing Pear. Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi announced overnight that they will be filing joint budget resolutions. There's that word, resolutions. The first special step that will allow Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion stimulus package bill to pass without any Republican votes. Hey, Heather. So the joint budget resolution bill means that it goes first, and then Joe Biden can walk in with his budget bill and won't need a single Republican vote of support. Very simple. They issued a joint statement overnight, Schumer and Pelosi. And if you hear a familiar word in this sentence, in this statement, drop it on the comments. I want to see how long you've been a viewer. There's a familiar word in the sentence, and if you hear it, drop it on the comments so I can see if you're a familiar viewer. And there we go. Almost we're approaching 2,000 people in the room. That is incredible. Let's get going. 2,000 in the room, 800 likes. Let's get to 1,000 likes. Let's get 2,000 and 1,000. Here was their joint statement. With this budget resolution, the Democratic Congress is paving the way for the landmark Biden-Harris coronavirus package that will crush the virus and deliver real relief to families and communities in need. We are hopeful that Republicans will work in a bipartisan manner to support assistance for their communities, but the American people cannot afford any more delays, and the Congress must act to prevent the needless suffering. Hear anything familiar in there? Oh, that flu. I couldn't see that. McCain. Thank you, McCain McCain. Oh, what a great name. Thank you for the Dancing Pear. I really appreciate the McCain Kane. Crush the virus. There we go. Crush the virus. We're crushing the virus. It's like 2020 all over again. Bless their soul. And with that, let me get to some of your incredible 2,000 comments from yesterday's recording. Oh, and they were good. Let's get to it. Crush the comments. James Kennedy, they're playing a game with our livelihood. They should be ashamed. And the ones who have kids, tell them that why there's nothing to eat and no place to live. Unbelievable. David Jones, Biden needs to say to the GOP, they're nuts. I think he already said it. I think I said it. They're nuts, and tell them they're nuts. He needs to send out the $2,000. People are starving to pay the elderly, need help. SSI and SSDA vets need help, period. Beverly Siegelman, while they talk, more people are getting sick and dying. Stephanie Brown, unacceptable. And I'm disgusted by our government. Being a veteran, this is so unconditional, and it sets me on fire. I am so sick of their treatment of American people and children. Danny Villanueva, we need a reply to speeches Biden promised for his election. He needs to go with his promises. Anita Ferguson, on what tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive. That's coming on a mug to a house store near you, to a home store near you. Oh, what tangled web we weave when we practice to deceive. I just can't. That's a good one. That's a really good one. Thank you, Anita Ferguson, for that one. Puccina Milpas, they need to tell us what's going on now. Our tax dollars are paying for their salaries. Speak up, Biden. Speak up, Harris. Stick to your promises. $2,000 multiple stimulus check. We're in a serious pandemic. Vicky Barnes, Biden needs to keep his promises. Mitch needs to retire. Thomas Tudor, I guess they forgot their job losses from the executive order when the president signed when it was only going to get worse. Where will the jobs come from when it takes out years just to get the businesses up to speed and hire people if there's no buyers for the new jobs? Susan Moore, big and bold. It needs to be what we were promised. Christina Hudley, it's called statistical interference. I don't know what she was referring to. It's called statistical interference. I don't know what that means. Barbara Payton, I knew this would happen again. It's just sad. They're doing the same thing over and over again. Shame, 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 shame. Manuel Rojas, enough. Needs a lot bigger for us people. Nina Brown, I believe the stimulus check should be big and bold monthly until COVID is over. Candace Devers, let them live on our SSI income. You can't get ahead. Ophelia Brahms, LA, what planet do these politicians live on? People are suffering. What the world is going on here? Deborah, this was already supposed to be with us. Now it's February 1st and I still see nothing. Here we go again, back to the old games. Walter Matlock, they think we're a bunch of cattle on the auction block. In the meantime, we're homeless and going hungry. There you go. Those are great comments. My goodness. Unbelievable. With 1988, there we go, 2005 in the room with 1999, 993 likes. Let's get to 2000 and 1000. Just a few more. There we go, 2000 in the room and 1000 likes. I really appreciate that. With 25 minutes on the clock, wow, what a morning. And that's a lot of news in 25 minutes, isn't it? Boy, so to recap now at the 25-minute mark, let me go over what's happening here. What's going on is Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer will be calling for a vote, a reconciliation bill. The reconciliation bill is a procedural requirement. Why? Because if they get that passed, then they won't need any GOP leaders to support Joe Biden's bill. Once they pass the reconciliation, then they can just walk in Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion bill and get it passed. Great news of the day, meaning that the 1.9 trillion will be happening, meaning you will get the provisions which I go over on this channel on a regular basis, and I'll go over them in a second. Meantime, the other great news is that Joe Biden's now signaling that he thinks his stimulus package is too small, and it certainly is too small. This is a mid-news from Pfizer this morning, which is really great news, that there will be 200 million doses in the U.S. population available to disperse in May, 2 months earlier than predicted. That's great. As we sit here in February, we just have March, April. We have 3 months out until we get those 200 million doses. How many doses are currently available? Well, apparently, Pfizer says that there's 17 million doses used of their 29 million. So they say there's another 18 million of their Pfizer doses that have not been used. That's also really great news. But in a troubling issue, Pfizer says that you will need regular boosts for COVID over time to fight variants of the virus as they come unfolding. Meantime, Wall Street's trading up sharply this morning. The Dow is up 600 points, NASDAQ is up 214 points, both up 2%, as those stocks that heated up a social media platform called Reddit are taking a big crash. GameStop down 50%, down substantially. AMC down 50%. GameStop down. Express 31% down. Cost down 41%. BlackBerry down 10%. Nokia down 5%. So much for listening to Reddit and TikTok for buying your stocks. Lord, that will certainly be a big message to start 2021 with. Don't rely on social media platforms to buy your equities, especially if it's important equities that determine your livelihood. And the other big news is that Joe Biden really thinks that you need multiple stimulus packages once again. This is the first time we've heard it, and while he doesn't use the language distinctly that way, he certainly suggests in his comments this morning that his bill may be too small. You know it's too small, and hence it needs to go higher. What is in the stimulus package? Thank you, Captain Sandy, for your great work. What is in the stimulus package is the following. First, there is $1,400 stimulus checks for individuals, $2,800 for married couples, $1,400 for children, $3,200 for adult dependents, and then there is a round of business grants for existing businesses, business loans for new businesses, and there is another round, and then there is $1,700 for a student aid assistance, $1,400 for paid sick leave, a round of hazard pay, we don't know the amount, and FPUC, but not retro, FPUC going back, going forward at $400 a week to September with UI and PUA. No SSI and SSDI at $200 a month. But as you know, because you've been with me for a while, I've always said he can do as a standalone bill. he can do it as a standalone bill. And so, what should we think about as we start the new morning? Just exactly what Sharon did. Hashtag MSC, hashtag SS200, hashtag FPC Retro. Take this video and share it on social media. The push needs to continue. Why? Because ultimately, Joe can still fix things. He can fix things either in this bill or he can fix things thereafter. Thank you, Rita. Joe can still fix things. If you keep on pushing for the message that things need to be fixed, he can fix things. I was thinking this morning, for example, here's an example that the SSI and SSDI. I don't know for a fact whether he can fix that by executive order and doesn't even need act of Congress. There are certain things that a president can urge his department cabinet heads to do, and we certainly don't know whether certain things can go by executive order, like SSI and SSDI. And so certainly there is still movement, there's still push, and there's still time to get all the items that this channel has been pushing for. So continue to push for them. Thank you, Donna, for the super chat. And with that, make sure you keep on pushing. Hashtag FPC Retro, hashtag SS200, and hashtag MSC. Where are the promises? Doesn't mean it's not happening at all. Means it's not happening here, but we need to ensure that it still happens. And that is the big news. Thank you, Big Daddy, 4875 for the super chat as well. On a new morning with 2,200 in the room and 1,300 likes. Thank you, everyone who liked this video. And thank you for everyone who tuned in. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe. Best darn channel there is out there. Also, give a like if you've not liked as well. And also consider becoming a member. United We Stand, says Gene. Absolutely. Becoming a member. Click the member link at the top of the chat in the pinned comment. Purple Power, Casino VIP, or Purple Hawk. Stay informed and stay focused, and stay that life for more.